the intro music. Yeah! Woo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today talking about an update that actually came out a few weeks ago that I honestly thought I'd already talked about, so I apologize. I'm going to take a little bit of the hammer for that one. I thought I'd actually posted something, and apparently I had not. And I'm talking, of course, about the update to Dukat and Weyoun. What in the heck am I talking about? Well, this right here. Now, first off, credit has to be given to Shinjo, who originally is the one who brought this to my attention. And you see, what, 2-ish weeks ago, we talked a little bit of more than that. Found that they had actually made a change that they did not post in the change log and the release notes of this month. Now, this all happened before we started going and looking at Picard and Picard Beverly, Admiral Picard here. And they had done this that actually is a buff, so making better to Dukat and Weyoun. Now, the problem is nobody knew it happened, so we had to kind of find this on our own, and then they did later go and announce the change. So what exactly does that mean in the game? Short answer here is many of you might remember the originals. We'll go over them, but here is our just beautiful D4 officers. There's our interceptor strike team crew, which we've come to see a lot of in the game because, well, players using this as the primary source of how they go about it. By the way, that announcement that you saw on the screen, even more reason to join the Discord. And then you've got your, well, the Explorer version. Now, the Battleship Strike Team is still considered the strongest there is, and these changes don't, really alter that perception at all, but they actually do make these two officers and their, following groups better. So let's talk about the change individually and then how that actually applies to your game as a whole. So, one, we've got new officers kind of coming out there a little bit niche, right? So one of those officers is Picard, Admiral Picard. Weird freaking name. But y'all know, well, we'll talk about him more in his own video, but he actually gives you a bonus when fighting against explorers. And obviously he's part of what looks to be a future to add to the new PvP meta. Well, if you're on an explorer though, one of the things that we've talked about using, Strike Team crew, is to be using Strike Team with Weyoun, and then all of the Dominion officers in tow, and we'll start with him right here. Now, this is what he reads now as a captain's ability. On round start, Weyoun, full synergy, has a 100% chance to apply morale for 3 rounds when fighting against players if he's on an explorer. So, as long as he's on an explorer fighting anything, he's giving a morale proc for that ship. Obviously, this is extremely beneficial to something like, well, I don't know, Enterprise players. Huge advantage potentially. Now let's see what the ability originally was with the power of my YouTube channel. Thankfully, I managed to go pull this out of Mothballs. Now, as you saw before, it was a 100% chance to apply morale for 8 rounds on combat start. So what's the real difference here? Number one, that one up there required full synergy and start of combat, and it would last for 8 rounds. So one, it was round limited, and 2, if you didn't run full synergy and it didn't pop, then it never popped. Well, that sucks. It's poo. Poo-poo. It's not good at all. Well, they changed that, and now he can not only proc in any round, but he has a shorter duration, but he can continue past 8 rounds. So if you happen to have a PvP fight that's 10, 12, 15 rounds, well, you can still be giving your ship morale during that process, thus allowing your officers to work more because, well, those officers did require morale to be as effective as you would want them to be. So if we go backwards a little bit, you got the pawn one here, which you see is lowering critical chance if you have morale. And then you've got probably the least favorite of the group right here, but that is lowering the actual weapon damage if you have morale. So obviously having morale, very important. And then you had the other set where we're going with our Cardassian friends, Gul Dukat leading the way. Prefect of Bajor now is, while on an interceptor fighting a player ship, at the start of the round, Gul Dukat has a 100% chance to cause hull breach for 3 rounds. So, again, we had the same idea where you saw Weyoun previously did not persist. Now he's persisting, and now we're doing the same thing with Gul Dukat, where previously, following an interceptor fighting a player at the beginning of combat, 100% chance to apply hull breach for the entire fight. Now, that's the original. This is what it used to be. What it is now is a little bit different. So come over here. I'm going to actually make this a little bit smaller so you can see what it is now, side by side. Now it's win on interceptor fighting every 3 rounds, or can last for 3 rounds, but multiple procs and can technically lose it. So why does this make Gul Dukat better? Well, one, again, every round. If you look on the other one, at the beginning of combat, it's a one-time thing. So if you don't get it for whatever reason, it never happens. So this has now made Dukat better as well by going with the same strategy that you just improved Weyoun. So we're making sure that you have multiple opportunities to proc while still keeping that 100% chance that you previously had with full synergy. This makes them both better. One, it makes it to where Weyoun can last in longer fights, and then Gul Dukat has a better chance of making sure that a hull breach actually activates. That doesn't make them perfect. There's still changes I think could be made, and I think the biggest drawback to the strike teams is that the first officer that we ever got is basically the most OP officer ever come out in the game or PvP, and that's Strike Team Una. And this doesn't change that. Like, Strike Team Una does not have to have burning. She just exists and is freaking amazing on battleships, and that's just that. Like, that's all there is to it. So the Weyoun change and the improvement to Dukat don't necessarily make the battleship strike team weaker or anything, but it does then make the EST and the IST a little bit stronger to try to get closer to that mark. And again, this also means that if you don't want to run full synergy, so let's say, especially with like the Weyoun run, I think because the interceptor strike team, quite often you'll see full synergization. But if we're talking about, and also very curious, when you run crews, you do full send on all of them. But particularly the Weyoun one is one that we talked about being piecemeal. Like, it's a lot more valuable if you don't run full send. But what if you still wanted to use Weyoun? Well, if you're not running full send, then you don't have a 100% chance. So previously you either got morale or you didn't. And now this does add a little bit of variety there. Maybe you can use a piercing officer. You want to throw in Charvenet, Kang, Marcus. You can throw Honor Guard Worf in there so that you could try to run a crit build, while also taking advantage of removing crits with Pawn. You know, several different strategies now open up and make it a little bit more paritable, I guess. Is that even a word? To add parity, paritable? I don't even know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but you see where I'm going with it. Does it make them necessarily great? No, but it is a good improvement. It's a buff, and it makes 2 officers that previously weren't as good slightly stronger to try to make them more balanced with the overall group. So overall, it's a positive move. And again, my apologies. I thought I made a video about this and I didn't. And this has been over 2 weeks since this actually was found. Now, why they didn't announce this originally, I have no idea. And they did actually go back and adjust the release notes. So if you go take a look at what patch 52 or whatever it is on StarTrekFleetCommand.com, you'll see that it's listed now in the improvement section. Now you can actually see a visual of it here in the video. Now you know about it for sure, because I've had multiple people come to me. I'm like, well, we talked about this in live streams, but maybe I didn't make a video. So I'm going to own up and eat that one for not keeping everybody as informed. And I apologize for that. But here's the buff. Here's the information. Here's how it works. And now you can go decide how to use it, or if you'll use it at all. Because I know some of you still don't even have strike team officers. And before anybody asks, no, I don't have an update on incursions. All I've been told is that they have a dedicated team working on incursions to make it good for the future. I just worry that it's going to just be nothing but an April Fool's joke at this point. I don't even know. So we'll just have to wait and see. If this video helps you out, well, help me out by liking it, just like this. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that little bell to get notified of every time I go live and every time that we release a video here on YouTube. Share this out with other Star Trek fans. Live long and prosper. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video, which, if you follow this channel and my Twitch channel, is basically every day. We did one today, yesterday. I have a live stream tonight, though the stormy weather looks really scary, so I'm not real sure about that. And Saturday, we've got live stream. Sunday, we got live stream. So if you need content, I'm your guy. Love y'all. Appreciate you. See ya on the next one. I'm out. For real this time, like an actual ending.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.